All right, Sevens, this is actually a video made for you guys specifically, so let's see what we can do. This video is entitled Constant Rate, but I'm going to be going through the different parts of algebraic expressions and equations. The difference in between an expression and an equation. Expressions do not have equal signs, so you may want to write that down as a side, like a definition. An expression does not have an equal sign, an equation has an equal sign. So what would it look like? Come on. Thanks. Yeah, I want the pen. All right. So 3x plus 2 would be an expression. 3x plus 2 equals 11 would be the equation. So an equation has an equal sign. All righty. So going through different parts of an algebraic expression. Constant rate, simply put, it's the gap from the stuff we were doing yesterday. Alrighty, it's the gap in your increasing or decreasing pattern. It's the amount or number that is repetitively added or subtracted in a question, and it's usually expressed when, at least when you use your word problems, something per hour, something per day, something for each item, something per something would be the easiest way to say it. It's this number here up here. It's the 3 that's attached to the X. The 3 could be, I don't know, $3 an hour. The X represents the number of hours we did something. So if I worked for 1 hour, I'd get paid $3. If I worked for 2, I'd set the 2 in here, multiply by 3, I get $6 in total. And that brings us to the next one. The variable is a letter that represents a number that is either known or unknown and is multiplied by the constant rate. All right. So if this was how much I was making per hour, and I started for $3.25 when I got a job, it's now up to about $11. You're going to make way more when you get a job. It would represent the amount of money I make per hour. The 2 might be an amount, and it's the next term. It might be what I would get each day for showing up to work. And X might represent, the number of hours I worked. So if I went to work, I worked 10 hours, I'd sub 10 in here and I'd figure out how much I made. And that brings us to the last one. The last part of an expression or equation is the flat fee or constant term. It's the amount that's always present, usually a starting point or a charge for doing something. If somebody shows up to my house to do work, they just charge me transportation costs for coming to do a job. So that would be what this plus 2 represents. Suppose I had somebody come into my house. The 2 would represent, hey, their transportation costs. The X would represent how many hours they're going to work. And this would represent what I'd have to pay them per hour. It could be, having someone come to my house. This might be an expression that represents the rental costs. It might be, $2 for insurance, $3 to rent the canoe, and X could represent, the number of hours or units I'm going to rent it for. Dentists talk units. Every 15 minutes represents a unit of time, and they charge you for it. Things you need to know as you grow older. So, just as an example again, to write it out, I guess. And the computer always goes back to the fat, but not this time. Alrighty, so the flat rate, it would look like this. So it would be the, constant rate times the variable plus or minus the flat fee and it should be flat fee, not flat free. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that up. Flat fee. The flat fee or the flat rate. It's the constant term right here, okay? Sometimes they use the word flat rate as well, and you need to understand that flat rate and, flat rate. All right, it's the amount that's always present. Don't confuse it if you see the word constant rate. The terminology can get kind of confusing, all right, for this stuff here. Just be careful. So we're going to go ahead and do one example, and then that'll be it. Okay, guys, I know this is a little bit of a long video, but it's because I'm introducing, and they do get shorter as the unit goes on, okay? So here's an example of one of the questions that you're going to see. And it's a 2-stager, simply because some of them, they're just asking you to actually build the equation. They're not asking you to solve anything. but in this case, we're going to build one. Example 1, Bob called the plumber to come fix the toilet. The plumber charged $75 to come to the house and $90 an hour to do work at the house. Complete the following. Model an expression to represent the cost of the plumber working at the house. B, if the plumber stayed for 3 hours, how much did Bob pay? All right, so it's 2 parts. At least for now, we're not going to treat it like a word problem. We're not going to have to do a diagram. There's a video coming up later on in the unit that'll teach you guys. But this is kind of the introductory stuff. We're just learning to build these equations using the words. So we have to go back up. We've got to look for all 3 parts. We want to find the constant rate, find the variable, find the flat fee. For these things, I recommend you put CR, constant rate, above the number that represents the constant rate. The variable, could be, whatever the word is attached. So you can just use the V, the per something. The second part could be the variable, and the flat fee, you can just do double F if you want. This might help you out. It might confuse you. Feel free to just use your own thing. So I go through and I read the numbers. There's only a couple of numbers attached here. The plumber charged $75 to come to the house. So no matter how much work he does, we're gonna have to pay him $75. That's the flat fee. Right? That's the flat fee right there. $90 per hour to do work. Oh, well, that's the amount that changes based on how long the guy sticks around. So that's the constant rate. So that there would be the CR. And this here becomes our variable. It's the amount attached. Usually in these questions, they're right next to one another. All right. So for A, I know that he charges $90 an hour. So times hour. And no matter how much work he does, he always gets paid the $75. So just for showing up to the house, if you make him drive out to the house and he doesn't do any work, he's going to make $75. It's a pretty sweet gig to get into, by the way. B, how much would Bob pay if the plumber stayed for 3 hours? Well, we're going to rewrite our expression. So we use the expression we made. Remember, if it doesn't have an equal sign, it's an expression. And we're going to sub in H. H, in this case, was 3 hours. All right. So this is how your math should look. A nice little comma, we rewrite the variable, and we say what we're going to sub in. So the 3, this is called variable substitution, by the way. So called variable substitution. And yeah, I have to spell it out like that. It's when we're going to replace the letter with the number now. So the H is going to disappear on our next line. We write the 90 times, put the 3 in, and we add in the 75. We now follow BEDMAS. Follow BEDMAS once you've done your variable substitution. And essentially, it means I do my multiply first. For the equation work, I recommend you get used to the idea of just using a dot in between the numbers and the letters. The X or multiply symbol sometimes looks too much like an X and can get confusing. It's where I've seen people make mistakes. Carry your dollar signs through. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. I just had to deliver a bottle to my 3-year-old singing the Mission Impossible theme song. Things you do. Alrighty, so at this stage, you just follow BEDMAS to figure out how much we actually have to pay this guy. 3 times 90 is 270. And then we have to add in the $75. Alrighty, so it equals $345. That's how much we'd have to pay Bob. So, or sorry, Bob has to pay. So Bob pays the plumber $345. All right, just for showing up to do 3 hours work. And plumbers can actually get that costly. So this is kind of realistic. So today's work involves everything that you just saw. You're looking for the constant rate, the amount that's either always added or subtracted. You're looking for the variable, all right? This is the something per hour. Remember, multiplication is fast addition. We could also add 93 times to get this answer. That's why I'm saying it's the amount that's constantly added or subtracted. You're looking for the variable. That's that thing that's something per hour, per day, per something on the other end. And then there's the plus or minus, the flat fee. It's the amount that's always present. If they don't say you have to pay anything up front, or if there's no flat fee, it's just zero. And if there's no flat fee, you don't have to show plus or minus zero. There's a few more examples in the next video. You guys should be ready to rock for tomorrow after you watch this too. All right, guys. Cheers.